Well, Cam Ward, obviously front and center at Titans camp, wearing that number 1, and honestly one of the only guys we care about with the Titans this season. He's got some moxie. He's got some swag. Head coach Brian Callahan says that he's been trash-talking his own defense.
I'll be honest, I'm not used to calling plays to a quarterback who's usually still talking when I'm talking to him. And that's great. And so I asked him after practice, and I said, just help me out here. I said, do you need me to wait till you finish? And he goes, no. He goes, I'm listening. So he's hearing what I'm telling him, and it was a pretty remarkable to see all the things going on and how much he's talking, but like his brain is still like with me, I guess is the best way to put it. Like when I'm calling a play, he's doing all he's doing, but he's listening to everything I'm telling him, and he enters right into the huddle and he calls a play and doesn't script the play call. And I thought that was actually kind of remarkable.
He's a multitasker, trash talk and calling out plays at the same time. Kayla Anderson,
he's a quarterback. Wow.
Covers the Titans for our CBS affiliate in Nashville. She's been at minicamp. What have you seen from Cam Ward, and how are his teammates, I guess, reacting to maybe being trash talked?
Yeah, and Amanda, I love it. You're like, he's a quarterback. Wow, it's something the Titans haven't had in a minute, at least a good one. So they're definitely hoping that this #1 overall selection works out for them. Look, Cam Ward is catching the eyes of everybody, not only the media, not only his coaches, but players as well. You guys had mentioned a little bit of trash talking. That happened yesterday. Jeffrey Simmons came back for OTAs late last week. He showed up actually on the field for minicamp this week. And when Jeffrey Simmons comes on the field, he's going to talk. And a lot of these younger players are intimidated by him. But when Cameron Ward supposedly took a sack yesterday, Jeffrey Simmons let it be known. He was in his face. He said, "Get back to the huddle, rookie," yelling all sorts of obscenities in his ear. And Cameron Ward pretty much came right back at him. It did not faze him at all. I talked to one of the quarterbacks today. He said, "I actually loved seeing that out of the young rookie quarterback." He said, "Believe it or not, I hate to say this, he kind of has some similarities to a Joe Burrow."
Danny, when you were a rookie, were you trash talking the D there with the Giants?
I wasn't talking any trash. I was a 4th-round pick who was just trying to learn the playbook. Like, I was struggling to spit out the plays, and I think that's what Brian Callahan is alluding to when he says, I'm just impressed that he can hear me in his ear calling the play, and he can still be yapping at the defense when it's out there. Believe it or not, I think this is a great way for him to assert himself as a leader. Like, you have to be an alpha out there as the franchise quarterback, which he's already been christened. Everybody knows he's going to be the starter, and defenders are watching you almost as much or more than your own offensive teammates. They want to see what you're made of and what your makeup. And the most important thing that Cam Ward is just being true to who he is. Go back to watching him when he stepped on the campus at Miami, or when he was working in the offseason with the Shedeur Sanders and other quarterbacks. He was always chirping. He believes in his abilities, and it really is a great way to build team chemistry. Like, it's all fun, and it's in goodwill, and they're trying to test each other out, and there's a lot of smack talk because the competition out there is only a sliver of what he's going to get this season, and he's going to hear a lot worse than what his teammates are saying on opposing defenses, and I think he's going to give it back to everybody he sees this season on the field.
It seems like he's been like that since the beginning. I know as soon as he got drafted, he was already like sliding into the DMs of his teammates and those sorts of things. So like Kayla said, he has that moxie you want in a quarterback.
Let's take a wider look around that division, because there are some teams that are in transition right now. The Colts trying to figure out what to do at quarterback with Anthony Richardson not quite panning out. Texans and Jags have their franchise quarterbacks. The Texans are the favorites to win this division once again. It's year 3 for C.J. Stroud. And I feel like, I don't know, the numbers went down. They still won. He was sacked a lot. Were we unfair to C.J. Stroud in year 2 just because of how great he was as a rookie, Danny?
Yeah, unfortunately, he set that bar so high by what he did his rookie season. But this is sort of typical of what you would see. I mean, obviously, Stephon Diggs getting hurt did not help him when he loses one of their top offseason acquisitions. You had injuries. Tank Dell goes down, so you lose some of your weapons. You're hanging on the ball longer. But also remember, and we hear this all the time, you've got a whole entire year of tape, your rookie season, that opposing defenses now get to break down. down. They look at every single tendency. Where do you like to step up in the pocket? What side of the field do you like to work? Do you like to throw deep? Do you like to throw middle? Do you like to throw short? And whatever you did well, and whatever C.J. Stroud did well his rookie year, they're going to adapt and challenge and force you to get better. I have zero concerns about C.J. Stroud moving forward. I think he's going to go back and look at every area that he struggled in last season, work on it, and get better this season. But I think it was all a byproduct of the massive expectations because of that incredible rookie season.
Super random question. We were doing a deep dive into the Bills. I know my producer's going to love this. But I did notice, because on all the schedule, we had Leger and Kyle on, and they both had the Bills losing to the Texans in Week 12. Would you take the Texans to win that game?
I don't know if I would take that.
Both had them doing it. I didn't get to talk about it then, so I wanted to ask now since we were talking about the Texans.
If they want a little side action, I'll go ahead and get it with them.
Well, there's the
See,
schedule.
there you go. I was curious.
It is a Thursday night.
I was curious about it because a lot of our experts have that as a loss for the Bills. Maybe on the side of the Texans. You know,
Interesting.
whatever.
I'll take that side bet with those guys.
All right, no, I will move on. Let's go to the Jags here. Of course, they have a new head coach in Liam Cohen, and for Trevor Lawrence, this is his third play caller in his mini seasons. We called this guy a generational talent coming out of the draft. And one side, this is on Trevor Lawrence. Another side, you're very curious to see, can Liam Cohen do with him what he did with Baker Mayfield?
That's the million-dollar question, and now you're seeing them hire a coach specifically to, groom your quarterback, and they've already tried that and failed with a couple other coaches as well. I think Trevor Lawrence is somebody, again, maybe a byproduct of the massive expectations, but he has yet to consistently deliver on the expectations. He's shown flashes of brilliance at times when he's looked like the part of a #1 overall pick, and he shows flashes of that athleticism. But to me, he's got to get more consistent. Some of that, is a result of poor, offensive line play. The receiver core has been a little bit shaky at times. But now that they've put a really solid cast of characters around him, including one of the best athletes in this draft, in Travis Hunter, I think this is the year that Trevor Lawrence has to step up and silence his critics, because they are starting to grow. And he got a new contract as well. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. He's got to start delivering on the promise and the hope and the potential that they drafted, that when they drafted him, they thought they were going to get.
He is already wearing a sleeve on his arm for general soreness. How much does that concern you, or does it not? He, of course, says no big deal, not worried about it. But they are acknowledging that it is sore already.
General soreness.
Yes.
General soreness.
General soreness.
So many coaches are using that term.
They really are.
Right, and I don't like it. I don't, it's not a concern yet if he starts missing extended practice time, but I do think it is something when you are trying to, with a new coach, with new receivers, new people around you, you have a tendency to overwork yourself and to go out and put in extra throws after practice, and you want all the reps at practice. They're going to have to monitor, maybe dial it back and say, all right, let's put him on a little bit of a pitch count that, if your arm is feeling tired, then we need to go ahead and give you the rest. And if it's soreness, or it feels like, if you hear soreness, that to me is different than tired. That does concern you a little bit more. I'd rather them say, you know what, it's a little bit tired. He's been putting in a lot of work. Soreness to me says, uh-oh, this is something you might want to keep an eye on. I don't think it's caused to, ring any alarm bells now, but it is something to keep an eye on.
Alarm bells, though, in Indianapolis, once again, for Anthony Richardson, who is sidelined in minicamp with a shoulder injury, and there's no timetable for any kind of return at this point. It says in our rundown, it just says flat out, Anthony Richardson is a bust. Are you willing to go that far yet?
Not yet, but so when he was drafted, this draft pick was one of the hardest to evaluate because he had played so little time at Florida. He had struggled with injuries. He was erratic with the football. He wasn't very accurate. And you've really seen the exact same issues that crept up in college are starting to plague him now in the NFL. He can't stay healthy. He's been erratic with the football. But then you see some of these wow throws, and you're like, oh, man, if we could just get some more of that throughout an entire season, he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Well, unfortunately, we haven't seen that. And I think to this point, I thought when he was coming out, it would be the biggest boom or bust pick of that draft class. And clearly right now, it's leaning towards the bust potential. And I do think Daniel Jones, this was one of the teams that Daniel Jones looked at and said, you know what? I want to be a place where I can compete to start, maybe even play. Daniel Jones is going to see significant playing time, and he might even steal the starting job from Anthony Richardson.
Who starts week 1? Who starts week 18?
I think Anthony Richardson starts week 1. I mean, it takes a lot to bail on your top 5
if
pick.
he can play at that point.
Right. I mean, if he's injured, then it's a total other story. But I think this is probably precautionary. I think he starts week 1, but I would not be surprised by week 5 or 6 that you see Daniel Jones in the lineup.
All right, that is Danny Cannell with us here on CBS Sports HQ. We are at your place for NFL all the time. News, highlights, scores, breaking news. It's all right here all the time.